Let me tell you a story about 3 generations. An old biddy, a know-nothing millennial, and the impressionable youngins. Here's a perfect encapsulation of American culture and politics. On the one side, you have Swampy McSwamperson in the form of Senator Dianne Feinstein. On the other side, you have indoctrinated children spewing lines they heard from teachers and adults. The children are attempting to convince the senator to support the Green New Deal. Let's set the scene.
We're trying to promote the Green New Deal.
Well, there are reasons why I can't, because there's no way to pay for it.
Yes, there is.
We have tons of money going to the military. A lot of it is going to the military.
The full 15-minute video was posted by the Sunrise Movement, whose purpose is to build an army of young people to make climate change an urgent priority across America, aka indoctrinating the most innocent, because we are a progressive cult. And they admit as much when they say, we are gathering in classrooms, living rooms, and worship halls across the country. Everyone has a role to play. Now, your role may include spewing this.
But we have come to a point where our earth is dying, literally.
Life tip. When someone says literally, they almost literally are being hyperbolic.
That, literally, is the most moving thing I've ever heard.
Case in point. These kids are clearly indoctrinated in cult-like fashion. This was not an instance of a precocious child asking a question of a government official. And here's how I know.
Some scientists have said that we have 12 years to turn this around.
The kids are as well educated on the issue as the author of the bill they are fighting for, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who that little girl may have been calling the scientist, because it was AOC who said the world was ending in 12 years. Remember when the freshest of all the faces said that?
And we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is, your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And like, this is the war. This is our World War II.
The scientist economist AOC isn't going to like hearing this, but researchers provided new estimates putting the Green New Deal at costing $93 trillion over the next 10 years. I'd like to see one of those children use their Common Core math skills to break that down. Sadly, I doubt they could, and they didn't have time anyway because they were doing this.
Senator, if this doesn't get turned around in 10 years, you're looking at the faces of the people who are going to be living with these consequences.
The government is supposed to be for the people and by the people.
Uh-oh, Grandma didn't like that one.
I've been doing this for 30 years. I know what I'm doing. You come in here and you say it has to be my way or the highway. I don't respond to that.
Those kids just got metaphorically spanked. And if you want to imagine what AOC looked like as a child, that right there, to quote Tag Team, whoop, there it is. Anyway, when AOC got wind of what the old biddy said, she took to her favorite form of communication, cooking with the Cortez on Instagram.
So I don't think that working on an issue for 30 years alone is what qualifies, is what makes someone qualified to solve an issue.
We can't deny the power of AOC's presence, especially in a kitchen. I mean, for heaven's sakes, she's a superhero in an upcoming comic book by Devil's Due Comics. How appropriate. It's called Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the Freshman Force. New party? Who dis? I mean, you know her kryptonite will be math or facts or history. It has to be something completely opposite of her being. Maybe it'll be Dianne Feinstein or Nancy Pelosi. Seriously, the way they are going right now, it'll be a battle between the old party and this new, fresh face, freshman force. New party? Who dis? That's the point of this whole thing. She will take down the swamp, or rather make it dry up. And that concept is not bad at all. But then she'll be the so-called leader, and we're all going to feel like what?
Like I just got screwed with my pants on.
That right there is the truth we live in. And these kids are getting screwed because they're taught to spout off against climate change when they should be more concerned at how many murders are happening right now. Not that in 100 years, maybe, potentially, the Earth's temperature is going to rise less than 1 degree, and that'll mean, honestly, we don't even know. Those kids should go back to Feinstein with demands of why just a few days after their run-in, she voted to block the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. which would have guaranteed providing medical care to babies who survive attempted abortions. Not even attempted murder inside the womb, but born alive and then murdered. Feinstein and 43 other Democrat senators killed the life-saving bill, which says everything. The only Democrats to have a soul were Joe Manchin, Doug Jones, and Bob Casey Jr. But, oh no, the patriarchy. These men are probably now on a list that supposedly AOC has threatened moderate Democrats with. By having a soul, these men are putting themselves on a list. In this entire time frame, you are witnessing the death of the Democrats. They're killing themselves, and they're killing actual babies. Take a step back and see how this plays right into the endgame for all that is the far left, which AOC and her Spice Girls are trying to take from the swampiness of the Feinstein clutch. AOC didn't vote on the bill because she's in the House, but because of climate change, she raised a valid question for her cult followers to ask themselves.
Is it okay to still have children?
Simply, it's not only okay to have kids, it's absolutely imperative, unless you have no value on life. And that's why these politicians, the whole darn lot of them, don't raise this idea ever. What if the government funded, that is to say our tax dollars, funded adoptions instead of abortions? Answer? Hundreds of thousands of babies would be saved every year. But all 44 senators who voted against the Born Alive Protection Act don't value life. And everyone who supports Planned Parenthood doesn't value life. That includes the swamp and all. I'm going to give it to you plain and simple, because you made it this far and you deserve it. They hate you. They hate your children. That's it. It's cruel and evil, and our republic is sliding down to an existence of nothing but Molochs. But the world ends in 12 years, so you can make the choice on how you want to spend the rest of your days. Until next time, stay healthy, America.